Hello again and welcome to Wealth Today on the Wealth Channel. I'm your host, Kevin Lynch. On Monday, we introduced you to Lloyd Lofton, the Vice President of Sales for American Eagle Consultants. Lloyd was discussing some of his key training points in advisor training. Today, Senior Correspondent Eric Gordon is continuing his discussion with Mr. Lofton, focusing on realistic goal setting for new advisors as well as teaching them how to self-govern. Welcome, Eric.
Thanks, Kevin. Welcome, Lloyd, to Wealth Today.
Thank you, Eric.
Lloyd, how can managers teach advisors to self-govern, and what does that mean?
Well, I think self-govern means help the agents develop a culture of being responsible for their own success. So if you can tell an agent where to get the information or show them how to get the information the first time, then what I would encourage you to do is have them follow through with that going forward. So if I've shown an agent, for example, how to get a hold of the underwriter to find out what's going on with the policy, and then they turn around and call me a couple of weeks later and ask me to check on it for them, then what I'm going to do is give them the 800 number, remind them of our conversation, or tell them what part of the training book they can get the information. And then I'm going to ask them to call me back and let me know what they found out. That way, what they're learning to do is to run their own business. They're learning to get the information themselves, and they're learning that they can succeed at what they want to do by being responsible for their own activity.
I imagine that teaching advisors realistic goal setting is an important part of their success as well. How can a manager make sure that someone who works for them is setting realistic goals?
Well, that's a great question. I think all managers focus on goal setting as an issue with their agents. I've got to tell you that what I've learned over the years is goal achieving is probably more important than goal setting. And so consequently, what I do when agents sit down with me and talk about setting goals is I want to make sure that the goal they're setting is, number one, is appropriate to their skill level. So if I have, for example, a life insurance agent and he says that he's going to write $10,000 in premium this week and it's his first month and he's never written business before, then by agreeing with him that may be a good goal for him, I actually may be setting him up for failure. So it may be important to understand what their skill set is. And the second part of that may be what they're actually willing to do. So if an agent sets a goal and that goal is predicated on a certain activity, and I know that they may not be willing to do that activity or they haven't agreed to that activity, then in fact, I may be setting them up for success. The one thing I don't want an agent to do once they've set a goal is to come back and have an excuse for not having accomplished it. I would prefer an agent set a goal that they will do and they can accomplish, that's smaller, and build up their self-esteem and their sense of self-worth and their ability to accomplish that goal, than set a big goal and not accomplishing it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Lloyd, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us today on goal setting. And we appreciate your contributions here to Wealth Today. Kevin, back to you.
Thanks, Eric. If you recall, last week Eric also spoke to David Muntz on the Wealth Channel about actively versus passively managed accounts. Today's tip offers a way that you, as an advisor, can keep your client actively managing his portfolio. Let's turn now to Liz Lavin for more.
Today's sales tip comes from Glenn Stevick, author of Techniques for Meeting Client Needs. Glenn says that in today's financial times, it's important that clients are actively involved in managing their portfolios. To do this, they need a working knowledge of three key techniques: asset allocation, diversification, and rebalancing. Knowledge of these three management factors allows the client to be actively involved in protecting his or her portfolio.
Submit your own sales tips right here at thewealthchannel.com. And thank you for tuning in to today's show. I'm Kevin Lynch, wishing you wealth today and every day.